Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. Today we're going to be doing something interesting since I figured that I've been slacking. Yesterday I couldn't really upload any videos and I've been extremely busy, so I wanted to pay more attention to you guys' YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a new series called Destroying the Meta, where I go over decks that have been topping a lot. Geargia's topped, I think there were 10 out of the last 32 spots. 10 out of the 32 spots in YCS Las Vegas were Geargia. Next would have been Mermail, and then other than that, it was nothing else. So Geargia for that YCS was the top deck of the format. So we're definitely going to be dissecting this deck and showing how to beat this deck. A couple of cards to play to just completely destroy this deck, and that's hence the name Destroying the Meta. This time I'm not 100% sure how to say his name. I'm just going to say it. If you are there watching, then you can correct me, sure. Evan Petray's Geargia deck. Now, like I said, I don't know how to say his name. I'm horrible with names if you guys don't know. If you're not Topper Ramadisha, I don't know you. But he ran Geargias. It's pretty standard, so let's just get down to it. He ran 3 Geargia Arsenal, 3 Geargia Accelerator, 3 Geargia Armor, Birdman, MK2, Geargiano, Dark Hole, Upstart, Typhoons, Book of Moon, Geargia Gear, Bottomless, Needle Ceiling, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Trap Stun, Dust Tornado, Compulse, Fiendish, Call It 100, Blackhorn, Solemn. Now for extra, Black Rose, Crazy Box, Triple Gear Gagant, 101, Diamond Dyer, Exiton, Emerald, Dweller, Cowboy, Soul of Silver, Allure Card, Tempo, Zen Mains. Side, he ran Double Maxi, Double DD Crow, Mind Control, DeFi, Needle Ceiling, Dust Tornado, Gozens, Light Imprisoning Mirror, Soul Drain, and DNA Surgery. An extremely solid deck. He has answers for just about everything in the form of traps. The biggest thing, a couple of weaknesses that you can point out to his deck. His deck has 18 traps and 14 monsters. So, he has 6 ways to get the Geargia Armor. You basically saying he's running 37 cards in a deck. If he does not open that Geargia Armor, that's going to be pretty rough for him. Also, if he doesn't open any traps, which is very hardly, or any viable traps. Let's say he opened Geargia Armor, Double Dust Tornado, a Trap Stun, and a Typhoon. Like, that's not good. But the reward for that is that he's probably not going to open that bad. He's going to open pretty decent. Every single monster, he can't use his monsters to get over your monsters. Let's just put it that way. None of his monsters in main board are over 1500 attack. So he has to go to his extra deck to get over any of your threats. That's going to be his first problem. Second thing is he's running Dust Tornado instead of Twister. Now, Dust Tornado is superior in Twister in the main board, I'll give you that. But when you hit the sideboard, Dust Tornado could hurt you in the long run because there are certain cards that just say you can't use Dust Tornado or it'll just be too slow and get hit by certain cards. Overall, it's just a really, really solid deck. He has the Needle Ceilings for decks that like the special summon. He has almost all his bases covered, but we're just going to expose the fact that Geargia's, he has a low monster count, and Geargia's monsters are essentially weak. Let's go to Google Chrome to answer our problems. Now, I'm going to be going to Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia. And the first card I want to talk about that would just ruin his day would be Skill Drain. Now, if you can find a way to not get your Skill Drain Dust Tornado or Mystical Space Typhoon, Skill Drain is the prime candidate for you. Why? Because you activate by paying 1,000 life points. The effects of all face-up monsters on the field are negated. While those monsters are face-up, but their effects can still be activated. I don't really like the new ruling of the new wording of Skill Drain. I already know what it does, but as long as Skill Drain remains face-up on the field, he can't activate his Geargia Armor's effect to search. That being said, if he can't search, he can't pull out all of his monsters. If he can't pull out all of his monsters, he's going to have a hard time getting over any of your monsters. I mean, yes, he can still go Geargia Gear and Exceed, but if you look at even his main board, for the exception of Crazy Box, every single one of his monsters are under 2,400. Granted, he might go into Crazy Box, but that's only one 3,000 monster you have to deal with. It's not like he's summoning a lord full of just crazy monsters to the board. But like other than Crazy Box, yeah, he's gonna have a hard time putting any type of pressure on you. Skill Drain is a strong candidate for destroying this deck down. Your only problem would be the Dust Tornadoes and the Mystical Space Typhoon, his back row destruction. But if he, if you can manage to get away with that, you're gonna easily pull away to win with Skill Drain. Next, another card I wanted to talk about is Royal Decree. Now, I accidentally clicked an ad. Is Royal Decree. Now, I did have all of these cards just set up nicely, but something was wrong with Chrome, and my Shockwave kept crashing, and I was like, whatever, we'll just search them. Royal Decree. Negate all other trap cards on the field. Now, Royal Decree isn't meant for every deck, just like Skill Drain. Royal Decree is meant to just shut down decks. Now, with Royal Decree, you guys can see that there's only three cards that can stop him inside of his main board. Or actually, yeah, 3 cards that can stop him, which will be his triple Mystical Space Typhoons. His Dust Tornadoes become utterly useless. Trap Stuns, useless. Why? Decree shuts it all down, and it's nothing he can do. That being said, he has to rely on his monsters to make plays for him. Now, if you guys can see, his only monster would be Geargia Armor once again. All the other Geargias, they're not going to do too much help for him. He can go on a Diamond Dire Wolf, but like I said, if you can stop that Diamond Dire Wolf, or you can stop that one last play, you're going to win the game. Provided that he doesn't draw his Mystical Space Typhoons or go into his Diamond Dire Wolf, your success of winning is going to extremely go up. Another card, Deck Devastation Virus. Oh my god, that card. I mean, that card just drools at him. If you lose turn 1, or game 1, and you go game 2 and open with Deck Devastation Virus and a way to activate it, you're probably going to win that game. Why? Because look at his whole deck. There's not a single monster over 1500 attack. This is the type of stuff that Deck Devastation just drools at. And not only that, you're probably going to hit Maxis or DD Crows or whatever he decided to side against you, just because there's not a single card in his main board that is over 1500 attack. Now, granted, he could go into a Geargia gear play, but you got to think, that's the only thing you have to stop is a Geargia gear play. I'm pretty excited for that. With that being said, you shut down his monsters, you shut down his deck, and it's not much else he can do after that. There was a lot of other cards. There was a lot of other cards that are just extremely effective against Geargia, and I just can't think of a single one right now, and it is a shame. So let's go to my handy dandy side deck binder, and while I'm looking at my side deck binder, I see Summon Limit, and this card is very interesting to be playing. It's going to be tricky to play, but it's rewarding if you do it right. Now, Summon Limit says neither player can summon more than 2 times per turn. Negated summons count towards the summon limit. Negated cards and effects that will summon do not count. Okay, so that being said, this card says you can't exceed, provided that, except for Geargia gear on your end phase, this man cannot exceed whatsoever. He can flip his Geargia armor. Oh wait, never mind. Hold on, that's probably bad. Neither player can summon. Okay, never mind. He summons his Geargia armor. His Geargia armor as Accelerator. He can special summon Accelerator, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. You just effectively locked him out of his extra deck. Now, with that being said, he has 2 Mirror Force, Needle Sealing, 2 Chains, and that's gonna prevent you from attacking him. And only Needle Sealing if he wants to lose those face-up monsters. He's probably just going to keep his monster face down. So if you have one effective monster to get over the Geargia armors, he's not going to see the light of day from special summoning unless he goes to a Geargia gear play. Hopefully you have an answer in the form of anything for that Geargia gear play. This card is extremely effective in just shutting the deck down, but it's also a very fragile card, and it really only shines against decks like Geargia. Next, Divine Wrath. Now, you guys have seen, I'm talking about a lot of traps, and he does have that basis covered with all that back row destruction. But these traps just seem to do the most damage against this man. There's nothing else you can do except for side your back row hate and then side these traps. And when a monster effect is activated, discard 1 card, negate the activation, and then you do. I really should not have to go into detail with Divine Wrath, just because all of his monsters are effect monsters. They all require some type of thing to work, and if he can't get his effect monsters off, it's going to be extremely a struggle for him. It's going to be extremely hard for him to win. Now, for the last part of the segment, we're going to go into monsters, a couple of monsters that can help. And off the top of the head, I really can only think of one genuine monster that can help. The monster, or two, I'm sorry. The monster that will just completely say, no, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! One is Fossil Dynapachicephalo. Fossil Dynapachicephalo prevents all players from special summoning. Let's just put it that way. You prevent all players from special summoning. You prevent him from going into his deck. Fossil Dynapachicephalo is also 300 shy of his strongest monster in his deck. So I definitely can live with a 1200 attack monster or a 1300 defense monster on the field. And the only monster that can get over it is Accelerator in his arsenal. I can definitely live with that. That is amazing. Also, I think it's one of the best. I think it is the best option against his type of deck, just because he's so reliant on special summoning and he doesn't have really any way to get over face-up monster threats that are already summoned to the field or that are just not attacking. Fossil Dyna just might be that answer. The last card I wanted to talk about is the last two cards will be one, Swift Iron Scarecrow. Now, you guys should already know what Swift Scarecrow does. It basically prevents him from OTKing you. But the follow-up with Swift Scarecrow will be Meltion the Time Lord. Now, Meltion just says reset. If all else fails, you can just reset the board. No Meltion? Or Matayan. I always spell his name wrong. Matayan, Meltion, Medion, whatever he wants to call himself. Now, and then this card just resets the board. Now, I really haven't done a lot of playtesting with this. The others I have, and the success rate, it's pretty good. If you don't get back row hit, then you're going to be in a pretty good position. And if you do get back row hit, just guys got to remember, that's one less trap card he has to activate on you. So you can just go off on. Some good matchups to get Geargia are Fire Fist, Mermels when you play it right, and just a couple of other it's not really other decks, but anything that just goes back row heavy, or I'm sorry, back row destruction on the opponent. Some bad cards to side against this deck would be the normal cards you would think would be good. One would be System Down. System Down is extremely, I just don't think it's a good side at all. Ah, crap. Come on now, stop messing with me. System Down it destroys all face-ups and all machines in the graveyard. Well, guess what? Your opponent doesn't have face-up machines half of the time because they flip face down through Geargia armor. Geargia X has already served its purpose, and they really don't need their graveyard. So System Down is one of those bad cards. Cyber Dragon is a pretty bad card against them. Macro is horrible against them just because they know how to work around it, and it doesn't really hurt them as much as it will probably hurt you. So those cards I wouldn't recommend at all. This deck is extremely tricky, extremely fast, and a lot of playtesting will help you beat this card or beat this deck. Its best matchups are probably anything that it can OTK or anything that's like trap fragile. If your deck is fragile to traps, this deck's just gonna mow all over it. I've seen a lot of players go to triple Black Horn of Heaven just to stop whatever you do. I've seen them go, or a lot of players do play triple Fiendish Chain, so you definitely have to watch out for that. But if you can essentially remove the traps, like if there's no traps you have in your way, you're going to pummel this deck to the ground. It's not much that the opponent can do. Thank you guys for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think you would side against this deck or some other cards, because I know there's a ton of other cards that could be used against this deck that I can't think of right now. Also know what do you guys think about this series and what would you like for me to do next. But most of all, enjoy.